Michael Thompson was the kind of man who believed in simplicity. At 52, he was proud of his small-town roots. He had worked as a carpenter most of his life, building homes with care and precision. He loved his morning coffee, his trusty old pickup truck, and his red Make America Great Again hat, which he wore almost everywhere. To him, it was just a symbol of his beliefs, nothing more, nothing less. Michael wasn't loud about his opinions, but he stood by them firmly, the way he stood by his family. His wife, Amanda Thompson, was his rock. She was intelligent, sharp, and fiercely protective of her loved ones. What most people didn't know was that Amanda worked for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Her job demanded discretion, and she never spoke of her work outside their home. To Michael, Amanda was simply his wife, the mother of their 2 children, and the love of his life. They had been married for over 20 years, and in all that time, Amanda had never failed to impress him with her strength and courage. It was a warm Saturday afternoon in a small diner just outside of town. Michael and Amanda had stopped for lunch after running some errands. Michael, as usual, was wearing his MAGA hat. They sat in a corner booth, enjoying burgers and fries while chatting about their weekend plans. A group of bikers entered the diner, their heavy boots clunking against the wooden floor. There were 5 of them, big, burly men in leather jackets with tattoos covering their arms and necks. Their presence was impossible to ignore, and the room fell silent for a moment as the other patrons stole cautious glances. The leader of the group, a man named Derek, spotted Michael's hat immediately. He smirked, nudging his buddies. "Hey, check it out," he said loudly, pointing at Michael. "Looks like we got ourselves a patriot." Amanda noticed the bikers too, her trained eyes quickly assessing the situation. She gently touched Michael's arm. "Just ignore them," she whispered. Michael smiled at her, his usual calm demeanor intact. "Don't worry, honey, I'm not looking for trouble." The bikers didn't give them a choice. Derek and his crew walked over to their booth, their presence looming over Michael and Amanda like a storm cloud. Derek crossed his arms and tilted his head, staring at Michael's hat. "You really think that hat means something, old man?" Derek sneered. "What are you trying to prove?" Michael looked up at him calmly. "I'm not trying to prove anything," he said. "It's just a hat." Derek laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the diner. "Just a hat, huh? Looks to me like you're making a statement. Maybe you're one of those guys who thinks he's better than everyone else." Amanda's hand tightened on Michael's arm, but he stayed composed. "I don't think I'm better than anyone," Michael replied evenly. "I'm just here to eat lunch with my wife." One of the other bikers, a stocky man named Jimmy, leaned closer to Michael. "Maybe we don't like your hat," he said. "Maybe we think you should take it off." Before Michael could respond, Amanda stood up. At 5'7", she wasn't physically intimidating, but there was something in her eyes, a quiet authority that made people listen. "Back off," she said firmly. "We're not looking for trouble, but we won't tolerate being harassed either." Derek raised an eyebrow, amused. "Oh, look, the lady's got some fight in her. What are you going to do, sweetheart? Call the cops?" Amanda's expression didn't change. "Something like that," she said coolly. Michael felt a flicker of unease. Amanda rarely revealed her job to anyone, but he could tell she was on edge. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Amanda, it's okay," he said softly. "Let's just go." But Amanda wasn't ready to leave. She looked at Derek and his crew, her voice steady and clear. "You don't know who you're messing with," she said. "Walk away while you still can." Derek laughed again, but it was forced this time. "You're funny, lady, but we don't take orders from anyone, especially not some guy with a stupid hat." That's when Amanda reached into her purse and pulled out her badge. She held it up for everyone in the diner to see. "Special Agent Amanda Thompson, FBI," she said. "Now I suggest you and your friends leave before this gets worse for you." The room went silent. Derek's smirk vanished, replaced by a look of uncertainty. The other bikers exchanged nervous glances, suddenly unsure of themselves. Jimmy muttered, "Is she serious?" Derek hesitated, but his pride wouldn't let him back down completely. "You think flashing a badge scares us?" he said, though his voice lacked its earlier bravado. Amanda didn't flinch. "It should. she said, "because if you don't leave now, I'll make sure you regret it. And trust me, I have the authority to do so." The bikers stood there for a moment, weighing their options. Finally, Derek muttered something under his breath and turned to leave. "Let's go," he said to his crew. "This isn't worth it." One by one, they walked out of the diner, their tough guy act crumbling under the weight of Amanda's unwavering stare. As the door closed behind them, the other patrons let out a collective sigh of relief. Some even clapped, thanking Amanda for standing up to the bullies. Michael looked at his wife with a mixture of pride and admiration. "You're incredible, you know that?" he said. Amanda smiled, slipping her badge back into her purse. "I just did what needed to be done," she said. "Let's finish our lunch." Michael nodded, grateful that the tense situation had de-escalated. But as they were taking the last bites of their burgers, Amanda's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her expression changed, her usual calm replaced by sharp focus. "It's work," she said, her voice low. "I need to step outside for a minute." Michael frowned. "Everything okay?" "Not sure yet," Amanda replied, already on her feet. "Stay here. I'll be right back." Amanda walked out of the diner, phone pressed to her ear. Michael watched her go, sensing that something wasn't right. Amanda's job often called for discretion, but he could tell from her body language that this wasn't just another routine call. A few minutes later, she came back, her face unreadable. "Michael, we need to leave," she said quietly. "What's going on?" he asked, concerned. "I'll explain in the truck," Amanda said, grabbing her bag. "But we need to go, now." Michael didn't argue. They paid their bill and left the diner, feeling the weight of Amanda's urgency. As they climbed into the truck, Michael finally asked, "What's this about?" Amanda hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Those bikers, they're not just a random gang. They're part of a group we've been investigating for months. Organized crime, drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, you name it." Michael's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" Amanda nodded. "Leader Derek is on our watch list. I recognized his tattoo. It's a symbol tied to their operations. That's why I flashed my badge. I wanted them to back off before things got out of hand." Michael let that sink in. "So what happens now?" Amanda glanced in the rearview mirror, her instincts kicking in. "Now, I need to make sure they didn't follow us." As they drove down the quiet highway, Michael noticed Amanda checking the mirrors frequently. "You think they'd really come after us?" he asked. Amanda didn't answer immediately, but her grip on the steering wheel tightened. "I wouldn't put it past them. They know who I am now, and that makes me a threat." A few minutes later, Michael spotted something in the mirror, a line of motorcycles in the distance, gaining on them fast. "Amanda," he said, his voice tense, "I think we've got company." Amanda glanced back, her jaw tightening. "Stay calm," she said. "I'll handle this." The motorcycles closed the gap quickly, their engines roaring. Derek was at the front, his face set in a determined scowl. They were trying to box the truck in, forcing Amanda to slow down. But Amanda wasn't one to panic. "Michael, grab the emergency kit from under your seat," she said. "There's a phone in there. Dial the number labeled OPS." Michael did as she said, his hands shaking slightly. The call connected almost immediately. "This is Special Agent Thompson. I need backup," Amanda said into the speaker, her voice steady. She rattled off their location and situation with precision. "ETA?" she asked. 5 minutes, came the reply. Amanda kept her eyes on the road, maneuvering skillfully to stay ahead of the bikers. But Derek wasn't giving up easily. He pulled alongside the truck, shouting something Michael couldn't make out over the roar of the engines. "Michael, stay low," Amanda ordered, her voice firm. Suddenly, a black SUV appeared behind them, its lights flashing. Then another. Amanda's backup had arrived. The SUVs quickly surrounded the bikers, forcing them to slow down. Federal agents poured out of the vehicles, weapons drawn, their voices commanding and sharp. The bikers, realizing they were outmatched, had no choice but to comply. Derek glared at Amanda one last time as he was handcuffed, but she didn't flinch. Back at the diner parking lot, Amanda and Michael sat in the truck, watching as the agents took the bikers into custody. Michael turned to his wife, his expression a mix of awe and concern. "I had no idea your job was this dangerous," he said. Amanda looked at him, her eyes softening. "It's not always like this," she said. "But when it is, I do what I have to. For you, for our family, and for the people out there who can't protect themselves." Michael reached for her hand. "You're amazing. You know that?" Amanda smiled faintly. "I'm just doing my part." As they drove home, the events of the day replayed in Michael's mind. He had always admired Amanda's strength, but now he understood the full extent of her courage. She wasn't just his wife. She was a protector, a fighter, and a symbol of what it meant to stand up for what's right. The moral of the story was clear. Never judge someone by their appearance. True strength isn't about how tough you look. It's about the character you show when it matters most. Whether it's a quiet man wearing a controversial hat or a woman with an unassuming demeanor, you never know the depth of someone's resolve until they're put to the test. And in the end, it's not the hat you wear or the image you project that defines you. It's the actions you take to protect and serve the people you love. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.